Hello, viewers. Welcome to Practice Guru interview series. Here we invite flag bearers and influencers of CA, CS, CMA profession. And today we have a very special guest whom we by respect call Revolutionary Raja. You may not have opportunity to meet him personally, but whole India knows him from his online presence, be it Twitter, YouTube or Instagram. He has such a big followership. He is a powerhouse of energy. He is expert in his field. We all are fan of his speaking and writing style, which makes him unique. So Abhishek Rajaram sir, we welcome you to this episode and we are thankful to take time for our viewers. Welcome sir.
Thank you for such a great intro. I am just a commoner, nothing much about me.
So sir, let's start with the first question. Since GST has changed the entire taxation scene in India, how do you see at this 4 years journey?
So the GST came with couple of things in their mind. One was to provide seamless credit. This was the basic thing because seamless credit was not provided through VAT regime. In fact, if the CST of VAT would have been gone to 0% and rates were not enhanced with the surcharge, then I think no one would have been interested in getting GST. Second, it was to reduce litigation costs because sometimes there were cases where for something one would say that a department would say that it is service tax and VAT department used to say no, it is sales and we will charge VAT. And third was to bring in transparency and uniformity all over India. Because in fact for ITC also, for registrations also, returns, classifications, so this was not the case pan-India. Also the ITC provisions were very different. In fact, recently I was going through something, I was searching something, found something else that in Andhra Pradesh there used to be a relaxation for startups that for 2 years they could take credits and once they get registered under a startup in Andhra Pradesh, for 2 years they can claim the ITC and when they make their first sale, even after 2 years, then they can claim whole of the ITC. This was very different in one particular state. So there used to be different things. So for uniformity, for transparency, for reducing litigations, and for seamless credit, GST was brought in. And to some extent, it has been able to reduce compliance costs. The number of returns have reduced. So in earlier regime, we would be filing excise, service tax, and VAT returns. So now they have been reduced. So journey has been a roller coaster ride. We were on target for something, we missed some, but again it was a happy journey. Except for portals. Portals have been crucial.
So sir, fake invoices is the most crucial thing. So what are your thoughts on it?
So I keep on seeing every day that department has alleged that X person has been charged with fake invoices, Y person has been charged, and then they arrest. It's almost daily that they arrest someone with a detailed press release comes in the evening that this person has been charged with fake invoices, this much he has transferred to other party, and these were the funds, and this is the specific amount. Now, when I went beyond this press release, then one thing it was shocking to me also that these press releases are issued by the person who is arresting, sometimes who is arresting, or sometimes his boss issues a press release, though the press release should come only by the commissioner or the principal commissioner or the press department of this, which is not the case. Second, in their very first release of same day when they arrest someone, they give a detailed analysis of these entities have been involved, and they come with a specific number. For example, they would say 154.13 crore rupees ITC. Now, this is a very specific number. And even after 1 year, they don't file a charge sheet on the guy whom they have arrested. So either when by the evening they had the number, what stops them from filing an FIR? Most of the bail which has been granted by the Honorable High Court are because that legally it has to be filed within 60 days. And if you don't file a proper detailed FIR or charge sheet on the person, then on 61st day, your bail right arises. And in 90 to 95% of the arrest cases, those detailed charge sheets are not even filed after 6 months. Surprisingly, on the time they arrest, by evening they have a specific number. So what stops them from filing a detailed charge sheet? That is a very different reason, which I don't know.
Right. So, sir, we want to congratulate you for your book, and it will be a big success. And we all are excited to know more about it. So, for our viewers, can you please explain us what are the areas covered in your book?
So, this is basically a crossover book. First crossover book. So chartered accountants know everything about GST, but on an average, we don't know what are the bail provisions. Lawyers know everything about the bail because it's a criminal law, IPC and these all, but they know very less about GST. So this whole book is written with the mindset of usage of both of the parties, that we as a chartered accountant understand what are the bail provisions. Because see, if someone is arrested on the allegations of fake invoices, then their family is helpless. And they contact first their chartered accountant or tax professional that, sir, this has been arrested. Now you tell, because it is a GST law, you help us. And when we approach to lawyers that please help us in bail, so their first question is, what are the provisions, why this person has been arrested? So, and we know nothing about the bail. So considering this is first crossover book, so it doesn't define that this book doesn't cover whole of the GST. It covers only, so you might find it funny that why the fake invoices, a chapter has, so first chapter is very introduction of, say, in summary of whatever GST provisions are. And that is in 5-6 pages. So mota GST, one side. Then we have a second chapter of explaining tax invoice. And then we explain what is fake invoices. So that is the first thing, and how this has been defined, what are those coverage of fake invoices. Then what are the offenses and penalties under GST. We might remember whole of the act, but we might miss what are the penalties levied on it. And then what could be a discussion part on it. And then inspection, search and seizure. And then arrest provisions. And then arrest provisions under GST, arrest provisions under IPC. And then concluding everything, what kind of bail provisions are there. So in GST law, it is very simple, that whatever is the amount of fake invoices or fake ITC, maximum penalty is of 5 years. So if it is, if someone has issued a fake invoice of 50 crore, or someone else would have issued an fake invoice of 500 crore, or it is 5,000 crore, the maximum penalty is 5 years. Maximum imprisonment is of 5 years. So this is something which makes it very different. Maximum is 5 years. This is also something which should be enhanced. And then Honorable Supreme Court in one of the cases said that if the crime has punishment of less than 7 years, then it is not a grave crime. And in all those cases, bail should be provided. And same Honorable Supreme Court in some other case said that if the crime involves economic offense, so in those cases, any economic offense is equivalent to raising war against the economy of the country, and bail should be denied in all those cases. So again, one case they say if below 7 years, then please provide bail. In another case, when they say economic offense, don't provide bail. So then we have to understand when there are two different judgments on similar cases, then we have to understand how we have to go forward, what things we need to prove. Again, in one of the cases, they have given criteria that if these things have been proved, then you can get bail. For example, it is that whether if he comes out, then whether he can run away from the country. The answer is no, because normally it's a businessman who has been arrested. He has a business, he has a family, he will never run away. Then whether after coming out, can he make a witness hostile? So there is no witness at all. Nobody has seen someone writing invoice. No one could say, "Mere samne invoice likha tha." So that's not to be proved. Everything is documentary evidence. Then coming out, whether he can destroy the evidence or he can change the evidence or he can tamper with the evidence, that is also not possible, because whatever credit has been passed on or received, that is on the basis of GSTR 3B and GSTR 1, which is with the department. Can't change it. Second thing, that when someone is arrested, then all the documents are seized by the department, and those documents are lying in the custody of the department, which again someone coming out cannot tamper. Therefore, we have to prove a case like this. So if someone is arrested, then his mental peace is lost, his reputation is over, even for a professional. If some of your client is arrested, then people might say that this person, this chartered accountant, is also involved in such kind of things. So our individual stake is also hampered. Therefore, it is very crucial for us that we make our case so strong that if someone is first we should try that someone is not arrested. We can reply to summons and these all things. But in fact, if it is arrested, then we should get a bail on the first hearing, and that will be a big relief for everyone. Over to you, then.
Okay. So how government is tackling this issue?
Government is doing many things. So first, how do they come to know fake invoices? So their software is robust. They call it 360-degree analysis of the software. Once software runs all his work on it, artificial intelligence, and then they notify the concerned officer that these are the cases which we have picked. You have to check whether these are doing it or not. And after receipt of it, then department has to investigate. First, they have to do inspection. Then they have to do deep investigation on this. Then later on, they will issue a summons. Then they will do some inquiry, and then they will arrest the person. So normally, whosoever is going to be arrested, he would have faced summons before it. Because they have not replied properly to those summons, therefore the position has come for arrest. Or in other cases, someone is absconding, then therefore he would have not received the summons or he would not reply to the summons. And some people have went to high courts also against summons that please provide us anticipatory bail or something like that, which honorable courts have refused that we will not provide anticipatory bail in these cases, because they also want this nonsense to get over. But whether the fake invoice is happening for the first time, was it not prevalent in service tax? Was it not prevalent in GST era? VAT era? Was it not there in excise? So now they are making so much of noises, and department is sometimes wrong also, because what I had seen sometimes allegations are very incorrect. So if you have got a credit, it's a genuine entry, and the person his registration from whom you have bought those goods, your vendor, if his registration is cancelled from the back date, then whatever credit you have received, even for the genuine entries, department treated as a fake invoices. So cancelling in registration from retrospective date again creates lots of problem, and this is happening. So the government has issued SOP on 12th May 2019, but that is silent on many instances, on many cases, or they have not touched upon some gray areas. Therefore, it's high time that SOP was the first SOP regarding fake invoices. 2 years have gone. Now they should analyze what areas have been left, and they should go ahead with the revised SOP. So that's the way how these could go forward.
You're right. As you are taking the right initiative, that government is not granting the ITC, which is not right, and cancelling the GST. But we have you as a representative, which is helping to taxpayers.
I'm just doing my job. Whatever knowledge I have, I'm just sharing it with everyone.
But it's very helpful for taxpayers and tax professionals.
Of course, see, as a taxpayer and tax professional, we need to understand law. We need to understand that sometimes we are not doing any mistake, but due to mistake of someone else, we might be penalized. So while driving car, so you might be right, but sometimes it happens that someone comes from any side all of a sudden. You don't do a mistake, but then also accidents happen. So you are right, and therefore a notice for fake invoice or someone from the department could come to you even when you are right. Therefore, we need to understand nitty-gritties of the law, that these are the provisions and these have to be taken care by us, and we need to handle these kind of things. The problem is we ignore all those things, and whenever we receive some sort of notice, people get feared with it. Oh, someone आ गया है. डरना नहीं है. So if we have not done anything wrong. So first, if you have received a summon, open the law book, start reading it. Even if you have read section yesterday. Today also, if some of my clients comes and say, sir, we have received X notice. So the first thing is I reopen my book and cross-check the law. Even if I have read yesterday night. Cross-checking the law, whether this is applicable or not applicable, what has to be done, what cannot be done, then we have to move forward. It's not like that we hawa mein reply nahi dena. We have to cross-check everything, and sometimes department goes beyond their powers. So powers have been granted to department with certain restrictions. What department officers do, they step on beyond their scope. They sometimes don't follow principles of natural justice, sometimes they don't follow their jurisdiction, sometimes they don't follow the timelines for issuing of notice. So they do all sort of things. So whenever we receive it, we have to be very cautious how to respond. Don't fear for it. Try responding logically, legally, pinpointing factual things. Case loss comes later on. The first is you have to establish a fact that this is beyond your jurisdiction or this notice is beyond the timeline. That's how things go on.
Okay, noted, sir. So, as per you, who should read the book which is written by you?
3 people. First, the taxpayer to understand what is wrong. Second, the tax profession, so that they can guide their taxpayers that this is how they have to tackle this menace, or they could play a subordinate role if some of their clients receive such kind of notice and are later on arrested for helping bail for with lawyers. The third one who should read it is the lawyers who should read it, because actually they have to handle bail provisions. But before filing bail, they have to understand what are the relevant provisions of GST. And in this book, I have covered only the bail provisions related to economic offense and these kind of things. So they might be reading, they might have read other books. They might be lawyers would be well aware of bail provisions with respect to all sort of laws. But this book will take them deep down to one restricted area with respect to GST, fake invoices, and economic offense. So this is a restricted area, but only 3 people should read it: taxpayers, tax professionals, and lawyers.
It was great talking to you, sir. As you said, this book looks a treat to reader. We are all eager to study it. Please provide the link to buy this book, and we will keep the link in the description box of the video for the benefit of our viewers. We request you to keep guiding all the professionals like you do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this honor.